Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Milan, the CEO and founder of Propster. Hello.
Hi Christian, how are you? Thank you for having me. Thank you for this opportunity to present Propster.
Thank you for joining. Please tell us more about your company.
Yeah, so we are a PropTech company, so that means we digitize the very old-fashioned and conservative real estate industry. And what we are doing is quite simple. We try to use the methodology you can find in the automotive industry, in the real estate industry. So just imagine you could basically configure a house, an apartment, an office, a whole building online, like configuring a car online. So this is the main vision behind it.
And what did you say is the biggest problem that you're trying to solve? Yeah,
so currently the solution sounds very, very simple, okay, but and maybe in the first step you don't really get, okay, wait a second, why should we configure real estate? What for? So good question. So the answer is also quite simple, because the current way how we plan, how we build, is just not sufficient for the industry currently. It's too expensive. We are far away from understanding what the customers need. So we need to change the real estate industry. And when we started Propster, it was, I would say now, like 6 years ago. We actually were part of a project, a change management project for a property developer and a general contractor. So there was no Propster at all as an idea. There was just this order. Okay, guys, let's have a look into our current processes, and let's have a look. Is there any technology out there, any methodology, which can help us to make the current process more efficient, which also can help us, to empower customers, also show some new business models. And because we know that the industry always wanted to be more modular and more product and service driven, we started to talk with some experts, some people from the industry, and one CEO from a car company told us, guys, I mean, you really need to do something in the real estate industry, because if you would compare it to the car industry, if you would build cars like you guys build property like real estate, a Volkswagen Golf would cost us 200,000 euros in production. And, this was like, okay, wait a second, it was brought to the point we need to do something against it. And so we said, okay, let's try to do some of the methodologies from the car industry. And we realized the best way to start it is to digitize the process between the property company and their customers. So our idea was to use configuration and e-commerce as a methodology to configure real estate. So that's why I said, like, imagine you could configure your apartment, a house, or a whole building online, based on a pre-approved and suitable product and material list. And this solves immediately lots of issues, because you have to plan differently. You have to think about, okay, what kind of options do I have to prepare to make it more efficient? And this leads you to more planning and price security. And in the end, it also leads you to less communication and less documentation effort if you do this online together with your customers. So this was the idea. Yeah,
that's a great vision. I love it. Yeah. What are the best features?
Yeah. So basically, when we started, it was one feature. Yeah. So when we started, we realized, okay, if we want to change the whole way how the industry is working, you cannot change it from from one day to another, especially because it's such a huge value chain. We are talking about lots of different departments, lots of different steps. So the first feature what we developed is let a buyer of an apartment configure the apartment based on options. So the first feature what we built is a configurator, like a car configurator, but only for real estate.
Yeah.
And this led us also to starting to build a platform, because the configuration is only a part of the whole customer journey. You need documents, you need communication, you need also exchange in other directions, like contracts and so on and so on. So we started to build a whole platform.
Yeah, I understand. And can you tell us some of your integrations?
Like integrations is a very important topic for us, because, as I already mentioned before, the real estate industry is huge, and the value chain is really big. And currently, also the industry is suffering a little bit from these kind of island solutions. So we are building one solution to cover the customer journey, for example. Another startup is building a solution to digitize the processes on the construction side. So you need to integrate different service providers. There are startups, but there are also like established companies like DocuSign, for example. Yeah. So something what we are doing is integrating DocuSign into our system, so customers can actually sign contracts through Propster. Or we have also integrations with other third-party platforms, PropTech and Contact platforms, mainly business like B2B platforms, which are relevant for the industry. But the first thing what we did, I'm pretty sure it won't surprise you, was an integration into Microsoft, like Office, Excel.
Yeah.
So the first thing what we built was an Excel export and import.
Yeah, it makes sense, absolutely. And tell us more about the savings calculator. I saw that, and it looked great.
So you asked something very important. So what are you solving? This is actually very important question. And every startup should solve a problem, right? We shouldn't create problems. We should solve problems.
Yeah.
So that's why when we started, we from the beginning tried to have a very lean approach of developing our product, because we knew that the industry is it's changing currently, and there is not one product which is working, and then and it will be so. Like in the 10 years, you have to develop yourself very close to the client. And we also understood that we have to deliver value and solve a problem. And the savings calculator, what you just mentioned, is basically a simple way to show our clients how much time do they save if they use Propster. Because if you would do it the old-fashioned way, and we have to admit that it works somehow, it works, but currently it's just too much time you have to spend, and it's also, and this is the problem, it's very analog, so therefore there are lots of misunderstandings and frictions afterwards, because sometimes how it is if you're using phone calls and emails, and fortunately no fax anymore, but a couple of years ago there was some faxes, but it's very you need to unify the whole documentation communication to make it more efficient. So the spendings calculator is basically showing you that if you use Propster, you can save up to 75% of your time, which is for every CFO is like, oh, wait a second, everybody, what, really? So then we have to present it how we do it, and then everybody says, oh, wow, that's interesting. And you don't have to, it's not like rocket science what we do, it's just like streamline processes. Make sure that you have one single source of truth regarding your communication. So that's important. Good for us that we are doing this already for 6 years. So we have some kind of good experience we can show, and that's why we can say that we see that companies save 75% of the time.
Yeah, that's super smart. And what is the pricing for your tool?
Yeah, so we have basically it's a SaaS solution, so software as a service based on license packages. So our clients who are basically property developers, general contractors. They book units like apartment units or square meters if they do commercial projects, and then they can use it based on their unit package. And it starts around 900 euros per month, and then of course it goes up. And so it's a simple license model. Yeah.
And can you share with us some stories of happy customers?
Sure, there are, as you can imagine, plenty of happy customers.
Okay. Tell us some.
I also have to admit, of course, when we started, often it was also try and error. So I think because everybody's always talking about how good everything is working and we have the best product, we are number one. But the way to get there is always also to fail. And I always, when I do like podcasts or interviews like this, I always also try to say and make it clear that yes, of course, in the past and still we fail, and that's important. And I hope also that our not only the startup community, where it's already quite common that there you have your fuck up nights and all these stuff, but in a kind of like more old-fashioned industry, like the real estate industries, you have to learn this, a kind of failure culture. So we went through failures, of course, and there are some very, very interesting and important clients who went through these errors and failures with us, and now they benefit from a product which works really well. So one of our clients, for example, it's a Value One. It's a property developer here in Austria. They are also active in whole Europe, and they're basically told us that, of course, at first they helped us really to develop the product into the right direction, but now they see the clear value of reducing effort. So I will give you an example. If you buy an apartment and you buy for the first time, it's a very complex process for a buyer, and you do this maybe for first time and you have no idea. So you have lots of questions, lots of communication, and this leads to lots of effort on the property developer side. And Value One is a company who is very much aware of customer satisfaction. They want to make sure the customer is satisfied, but they are also a company who wants to make profit. So they also want to be efficient. Yeah. So what we did is that with our system, with our platform, the customer is better prepared, and the meetings are more efficient. So they told us before Propster, they had around 4 meetings with every client, and they reduced it to 1 efficient meeting because the customer received the platform login before the meeting, and they had the opportunity to read through all information. They configured the whole apartment, and then there was a meeting on the ground. They went through the configuration, and this 1 meeting was enough.
How big is your team right now?
We are 28 people. And we are located in Vienna, in Austria. We have also an office in Stuttgart and in London. But in London, it's more like because it's fancy to have an office in London. That's why we have it.
Yeah. And have you raised any funds?
Yes, we raised 2021. We raised our seed round with 3 million euros, and this year we are also looking for a new investment. We are going to start fundraise. In a couple of weeks, and searching for 5 to 10 million Series A. Yeah.
What has been your best growth tactic for gaining new people coming to the platform?
Gaining new clients. So to be honest, like when we started, everything was very on a personal way, because as I said, the real estate industry is old-fashioned. So it's lots of shaking hands. It was nearly impossible to acquire clients through Zoom or Google Meet or whatever. Yeah. So we were traveling a lot. The Corona crisis changed it like dramatically. Like before Corona, like we acquired 5% of our clients online. After Corona, it was 95%.
Wow. Wow.
And this also gave us, of course, a huge boost in our growth, because we were able to acquire more people across Europe. And so this is also how I like this, even though it's always the same. If there is a crisis, there's also a chance, right?
Absolutely.
To change something, to
So
improve something.
That worked for you, yeah. I'm happy for you. And what do you think was your biggest challenge since starting the company?
The biggest challenge were to find the right people, like employees, right? This is definitely, team is like one of the most important things, because having a startup is like a roller coaster, There are maybe the people outside, they only see like this bling bling LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram stuff, but behind there is like lots of sweat and tears. And I think I lost a couple of my hair during the 60s. Yeah. So to do this, you need to have the right team, and this was, I think, the biggest challenge so far.
And please tell us your vision for the future.
Yeah, so we really want to change the industry, really disrupt it. So our main goal is that let's put it into a kind of more simple explanation for non-real estate listeners. We want to be actually the Amazon for real estate. So, but on a B2B sector. So just imagine you would have the possibility to tell us what you want to build. Or even if you want to refurbish an apartment, if you want to build whole building, and you would have the possibility through us really not only to identify the right products and materials, but also order it. And this is our vision. Yeah,
that's awesome. And please tell us your backstory. So how you started your career?
Yeah, so I was actually studying something totally different. I studied sports management. But a part of my family is working in the real estate business. And as it always is, you don't want to do what your family is doing, so you try to do something else. Then you fail. then you go back somehow to the easier way. So I founded my first company with 21, and then a couple of years later, I joined forces with my uncle, who was in the real estate business, and we founded a company. And out of this company, it was actually an agency for digitization and communication in real estate. We bootstrapped Propster out of this agency, and I founded Propster out of this former company. Yeah.
So you started from an agency to a SaaS.
Exactly. Yeah. I was somehow already fed up with this kind of agency stuff. I always wanted to have a product, develop a product.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
And do you have any piece of advice for founders?
Yeah, stay happy and healthy. That's very important. And stay motivated. And and make sure that you stick to your vision, and don't listen to the naysayers,
Yeah. What's your favorite software that you use daily?
A good question. So I'm not doing it on a daily basis, but I try to keep my body in shape and do some sports at least once or two times a week. I spend lots of time with my family. So for example, weekends is always like it's blocked for family, so I try not to work.
That's very good.
Important.
Yeah.
To be honest, there is also one habit. I still play some games on computer, to get like in a kind of different world. So some strategic games, and so I need this, to just be kind of like get all the stuff out of your mind.
To get a reset.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to tell us today on the podcast?
Again? Sorry?
Is there anything else that you want to tell us today on the podcast?
Yeah, no, I think what's really, as I already mentioned, important, especially nowadays, everybody who's working in a startup environment can see that times are tough currently, and maybe not for all. not all for all sectors, but in PropTech context, it's very challenging currently, and also the world is very. So everything is very challenging currently, but I think what's very important is to stay positive and optimistic, and always try to have a smile on your face, even though sometimes it's not easy.
Thank you so much for sharing the story and the value, and yeah, I'm super grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, Christian. Thanks.